Okay, I think we'll get going. So hello and welcome to our inaugural walkthrough Wednesday. Thank you for joining us. My name's Nikki Horwood and I'm the CMO at Sharktower. It's my responsibility to help raise awareness of Sharktower's AI-driven project software and hopefully help challenge an industry where some of us are still managing projects in Postit Notes and Excel. With me today is Neil, so I'll hand quickly to Neil to introduce himself.
Thanks very much, Nikki. I'm Neil Greenhorn, Implementation Lead with Sharktower, and I'm there to ensure our customers are getting the best experience from the tool and also help with adoption across organisations.
Cool, thank you, Neil. These weekly sessions are designed to be really short tasters of some of the unique features of Sharktower. It will be recorded and we'll share it on our website and on YouTube. There will be a Q&A at the end, but feel free to submit questions via chat throughout the presentation. And I'll keep you on mute until the Q&A at the end as well, if that's okay. So this week, Neil's going to walk you through the Sharktower Delivery Map for around 20 minutes, so really short and sharp and focusing on these areas in the agenda. Now, the Delivery Map is my favourite feature of Sharktower and I'm just addicted to it. Hopefully by the end of the session, you'll agree that it is just a really groundbreaking way for everybody to manage projects. For me, it recreates the time when you could all sit together in a room with your project team and you'd have a big whiteboard and you'd be drawing activities and another team member would be linking activities and somebody would be rubbing a bit out and adding milestones, you know, a really collaborative visual tool. One of my favourite things about the delivery map as well is that you don't have to rely on that one person that could create Gantt charts or project timelines in a tool that you couldn't access. And you didn't have to wait for them to create it or even update them, you know, so you're always left with this version that's out of date. So with that, I won't say any more. I'll hand on to Neil to take you through the demonstration. Thank you, Neil.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Nikki. I guess it's definitely more exciting than your typical spreadsheet. And I thought I'd put this slide with old school tools, and I'm sure we've all been there where we're planning projects with Postit notes on big whiteboards, and I know it's a bit different now, we're all sat at home, but I've even seen the use of some new applications where they're encouraging Postit notes remotely through web browsers, which I think, thank you.
I think we've lost you, Neil. We do seem to have lost Neil. Sorry about that, folks. Let's just give it a quick minute and see if you can log back in.
I should be back now. That was a bit weird.
Yay, we've got you back, Neil.
Yeah, Zoom just decided to reset itself. But yeah, so don't worry. This is the only slide I've got to talk through, and then we'll get hands-on with the tool. But I thought I would have a bit of a slide just to articulate some key points about our planning tool. So as Nikki mentioned, it's collaborative and easy to use. So you don't have to be a whiz kid at Microsoft PowerPoint or Microsoft Project. You don't have to know how to create Gantt charts. This is a very easy way to plan projects, so you don't have to be a seasoned project manager to just do so. Also, it doesn't matter what delivery methods you have. So you can be working Agile, you can be working in Scrum, you can have a very strict governance model, and we can adapt to all these things. And also worth noting, it's collaborative anywhere in the world. So you can have multiple people adding to the plan at the same time. So for example, if you're in a project planning call, you can, if you're the project manager, you can be adding activities and clusters and things like that, while the team members are adding tasks and other things. So and you can see all that happening in real time. Another key thing is it's visibility for everyone. So again, I don't want to slate Microsoft Project too much in this call, but you're probably used to needing a Microsoft Project license, contacting IT. It takes weeks to get. But with Sharktower, we open the plan up to everybody. So you don't need special software, you just need your web browser. And it even works on the iPad as well. So it's easily accessible. And it gives you a method to see everything all in one place. So we've seen a lot of our customers use it as a communication tool. So it's a single source of truth of how that project is performing. And you can see the whole map and status of each activity from one screen. thanks very much. And we'll dive in, I guess, just a bit of housekeeping. We'll keep questions to the end. And if we do run over past 1 o'clock, then we can easily jump on another call, or we can carry on the conversation one-to-one. But I will share my screen now and show you our delivery tool. So here you'll see there's going to be two parts to this walkthrough. We've got starting from a project from scratch, and then I'll show you a project that's in flight and kind of show you the beauty of how a large project can look in Sharktower, because I'm pretty sure you'll get a bit bored if I'm spending half an hour drawing a plan. So we'll go into the project here. This use case is going to be for an Office 365 migration. I'm sure a lot of people are either have experienced it or about to go through it, as more and more people are adopting the Office 365 in cloud. So we'll jump into the planning tool, and along the top here you can see the weeks and the months. So I'm zoomed right out. We've got 1 month, 2 month, 3 month views, and we tend to recommend for our customers to start with clusters. So these are large tranches of work that we know are going to happen in a project. So we'll draw a few just now. So we're going to call this one Discovery. Change the color. We can create another one. I won't spend too long on this, and then we'll do a build phase. And then we'll create one down here called user adoption. Perfect. So these are the kind of 4 main phases I know in this project for the next 3 months. And then we're going to start building out activities. So these are smaller than clusters, tranches of work, but generally over a few weeks we recommend creating these. So for example, this one could be called Project Startup. And we can assign work streams. Some of our customers use work streams for things like identifying which team in the organization is doing that work, or it can be used for phases or other things. I guess just a note that our planning tool has probably 101 ways to do things. It's not like your typical Microsoft project where you've got just a list of things and it prints out a Gantt view. Our tool is designed to be as creative as possible, so you can use it in many different ways. And that's, I guess, what makes my role exciting, because I get to work with organizations to find out the best fit for them. So we'll call this the management work stream, and we'll make myself the lead. Again, we like things to look pretty, so you can change colors. And we'll create one for the technical team. So this can be review shared drives. And again, work stream. And our plan allows us to make lines that are not always straight. Again, is my connection still okay, Nikki? Can you guys still hear me?
Yep, we've got you.
Yeah. Let me. Sorry, I'm just going to zoom in there. It's not playing ball with me. There we go. Right, I'll join that up in a minute. So what I'm doing here is creating dependencies of these activities. So this could be review infrastructure. I'm going to add another one called 2013. And like I mentioned before, we can link these all up so they're dependent on each other. We'll create one last one. Let me just refresh this. That's better. I'm not sure what happened there. And then we'll create this one called documentation, and we'll assign this to the management workstream. So as you can see here, we've created a bunch of activities. Within each activity, you can have work items. We call work items things like risks, issues, decisions, and stories. So they're here like this, and everything in the plan is linked together. So all these relate to activities. And this allows you easily to see where the blockers are, where things are at risk from a project. And it's just a really clean way of looking at how the plan looks. So we'll move on to one that looks a little scary, but definitely a lot nicer than your typical Microsoft project. So as you can see here, we've got a data center migration. If anybody's familiar with these, they're very complex, a lot going on at the same time, a lot of dependencies, and this allows you to see where the dependencies are and where the key issues are. So we're all familiar with red means we need to maybe look at something, and yellow means at risk. So it's very much the RAG status. And you can see here that this activity is slipped, and Lindsay thinks that it's going to be slipped by 7 days, and you can see the knock-on effect. So with this tranche 1 stuff, you can see that the tranche 1 migration testing is going to be at risk. And as I mentioned before, you can link things to the plan. So in another session, we're going to go into a bit more detail of how we manage work items and how we manage stuff in the Kanban board. But from the plan view, you can get a good overview of where things are at and the status of them. So for example, this is overdue by 3 months, which is not ideal. And again, you can go into it and see a bit more of why this is. You can add comments, tag things, and need to drill down and find out where things are going. Nikki, sorry, I don't mean to check again, but I'm getting your internet connection is unstable. Am I okay?
Yeah, you're dipping in and out a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you want to turn your video off? That may help.
Yeah, let me turn my video off. Apologies, folks.
Sorry, folks.
That'll help. Yeah, the joys of working from home, I guess. So another thing we like to try and capture is outcomes in the plan. So you can see these flags here, and these are what we call outcomes, but in another term, they're milestones, and they're really allows you to track from our project overview page how that tranche of work is performing. So in our overview page, you're going to see the status of that tranche 1 migration, how it's performing against everything before it, and it allows you to report on that. We also allow cross-project dependencies. So for example, if you've got a project in your portfolio that is dependent on another project, which I'm sure everybody has had experience of that, you're going to see these with little arrows. And again, you can see the status come through. So everything here is in real time. As people update things, the plan will update. As the project manager updates things, the stakeholders will see all these updates. And we also have a history tab, so you can see when things are changed, how often they've been changed, and the kind of the initial start date, which some people use as baseline, and it updates through there. And that's it from my demo. Nikki, I think we can move on to some questions now. Hopefully my internet connection is going to be a bit more stable in terms of questions. But let's move on. I'll try and put my webcam back on because I know what it's like just speaking to an avatar.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Neil. Let me try and go back into here. Right. So feel free to unmute yourselves, everybody. I've got a couple of questions that came through on private chat. So is there anybody that's brave enough to ask a question online? Open mic now, go for it.
Got one in the chat.
Yeah, I'll go with a question, a fairly obvious one. How do you cost access to the platform?
So is that licensing models, or
Yeah.
is that how do you manage cost within a plan? I guess
how do you charge for the product?
Okay. Yeah, no, it's a good question. So we've got different licensing models. We've got, which is all on our website, but up to 5 users is a kind of per user license model. And then we take a view on how big that organization is after that. So when it's an organization with say 1,000 seats or 500 seats, we won't limit you to the amount of users you have or the amount of data you're storing. We'll come up with a price that works for your organization.
Okay, thanks, Neil.
We basically like as many people as possible to use the tool, so you can let your suppliers use it, and we've got really broad bands, so it's unlikely you'll ever hit any kind of ceiling. So like Neil said, you have unlimited projects, unlimited storage, and you can just get everybody in your whole project ecosystem to use the tool and collaborate together.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably going to be, where the sticky point will be. It's what do you invest in this platform, or do you stick with the traditional, as you said, Neil, Microsoft project? It's getting everyone to, or getting some people to move over is going to be difficult. So if I was to adopt this platform, do my customers get to see it for free, or do they have to buy a license as well?
No, they get to see it for free. So you can add as many domains, as many customers, as many people. So we work with professional services, which obviously they have a range of customers. And if you're in that kind of business, you will get a nice portal where you can kind of jump between customers. But the customer will only see their projects and their portfolios. So you can have multiple portfolios within the customer environment, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So yeah, no,
but yeah, I mean, it's a good point to touch on, and we just got a question about how does AI work in Sharktower, and the more data and the more people using Sharktower, the more valuable it's going to be for your organization, because the kind of AI models and things. So I guess to touch on the AI stuff, we've got mainly three AI models. We've got Project Slippage, which looks at all the data in Sharktower, the confidence level and activities, how many things are slipping, the kind of planned dates against the actual dates and all this stuff, and it'll come up with a kind of go live date and give you reasons behind that. And we've also got Project Sentiment, which looks at how the team is working together. So we have a natural language analyzer, which looks at all the comments in it, all the descriptions, and gives you a score on Project Sentiment. And then the kind of my favorite one is Project Health Score. So this looks at, similar to, I guess, if you're used to kind of a Fitbit thing where you get your health score with them, it looks at everything you're eating, your weight, your diet, your training, your sleep, and gives you an overall score of how healthy you are as a person. Well, our Project Health Score looks at everything from your slip tasks, your delayed things, and gives you a health score. And you can also compare that against the portfolio that it's sitting in. So it can kind of make it a little bit competitive with project managers, which is an interesting dynamic to see. But it also gives stakeholders an unbiased view. So we're all familiar with the typical RAG status, red, amber, green, and we allow that. We allow the project managers to tell their story, because we're not saying that Sharktower can give you everything and know everything about what's going on. But if you have a green project and our health score is saying that it's 20 out of 100 and it's trending down, then that's a red warning for a stakeholder, because you're not going to have a green, you're not going to maybe agree with the project manager that's saying it's green and our health score saying it's trending down. They both need to marry up for a healthy project.
Is there a view, Neil, with an executive summary, if you like, something that an executive could just, I know you're saying about the RAG, but it's maybe a little bit more detailed than that, something that would show, you know, very simply that we're stopped, and this is the flag, and it's very easy to read. Like a summary.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the reason behind kind of our short, sharp walkthroughs is because we've got a massive kind of array of things to show you. I only obviously touched on the planning tool, but we've got a really nice overview page which gives that stakeholder view of where things are going wrong, where things might go wrong, and they can click through. So if they want to really see the detail, they can go in and see, right, why is this delayed? Or they can just step back and look at the overall. Also, we can link business objectives to projects. So some businesses, especially in COVID times, might have reduced costs by 25%, and you can tag projects for that specific objective. And senior stakeholders, board members, are only interested in business objectives. They don't really want to know the level of detail that projects go into. So you can link outcomes to those objectives. You can see that.
Okay. Can I ask a question about the basic analysis of the dates, and how that's done? It looks like an activity on Arrow Network, which you might not have heard of. It's not been in fashion for a long time. But does it go through a basic time analysis process, and does it identify critical path and early late dates? And
are you going kind of delving into the AI model and how
well, just what you drew on the screen there, and the slightly more complicated one that you showed, and the impact of dependencies and the like. Obviously there's a calculation of dates behind that. Just interested in how that arrives at those dates.
Yes, I mean, we take all things into consideration for our models. So, for example, with an activity, you can have a expected completion date and actual completion date, and it can work out obviously the difference in that. And we also use confidence level. So we empower the project managers or the engineers in the project to give a confidence level of how they think that's going to perform. So there's 5 kind of layers of confidence, and those layers will dictate how the model works.
Are the base dates calculated on time analysis, which then gives you early late dates and a critical path?
No, it's not. No.
Okay. How are they calculated then?
I'm not sure I'm getting the question. So
okay, no, don't worry, no worries.
We can follow up with you afterwards, Jackie.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. And do you save a baseline of all of the activities that are then used for comparison?
So the baseline is an interesting one. I'd like to maybe revert that question back, and why do you want to see the baseline?
Because I want to understand the impact, and so that I can identify mitigating actions to bring it back on schedule, and understand where the critical path is, so that I know I'm mitigating the right activities. Otherwise, you don't want to necessarily mitigate things that you don't have to.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess we show all that quite easily through the kind of status of activities and things like that. But everything, as the plan moves, everything is captured. So we do capture the proposed start date and then actual end date. So we can do analysis on that.
Okay, one last question. How do you, if it's all in real time, and you've got a reasonably large project with quite a big team, and people are putting information in all the time, how do you manage impacts and understand where you need to focus mitigations to get your, oh, sorry, my cat is, yeah, how do you manage that if you don't take a point in time to understand the impact across the whole project?
So only you can nominate who can edit the plan. So not everybody has the power. So if you've got a project team of 20, 30, 40 people, not everybody can go in and change the plan, modify the plan. Everybody can add work items, so things like tasks, issues, risks. So we've managed large change projects, and yeah, it's all about kind of managing the permissions and roles and responsibilities within that.
Okay, thank
so
you.
If during kind of project startup and planning, I would recommend that maybe the team leads and the project manager have access to it, and then when things are confirmed, you publish the plan, then it gets locked down, and you can only, or the project manager can only modify it. And it's also worth noting that you can edit, so you can have a published plan, and you can keep editing another plan kind of in the background, and unless you hit publish, you almost have two copies of the plan. You'll have the published plan, and then you'll have the one that's in draft.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool, great questions. Thank you, Jackie. We've got time for one more if anyone wants to ask an open mic. Otherwise, Neil, I think you had a couple more if you've got time to select one.
I can see
Neil,
one
hi,
on
it's
the...
hi, Neil.
Sorry, you go.
Sorry.
No, yeah, carry on, Salim.
Oh, this is probably a bit of a follow-on to where Stuart was going, but I was interested in, and it may be a subject of a future one of these sessions, but the sort of aggregate dashboard reporting that would be automated through something like this, just to sort of ease the upward reporting on sort of large projects. Is that something, a future topic, or is that something that you can?
Yeah, so we've got two areas of reporting we talk about, and there's actually a good blog post I wrote a couple of weeks ago on our blog about reporting. But I guess the two areas that we look at is the project overview page, which has got your standard things like how it's performing, the RAG status, the project health score, up and coming activities, things that are delayed, all the usual. But we also have kind of a custom reporting strand to my role, actually. So I help organizations if they've got a governance model that dictates you need I hate to say it, but PowerPoint RAG report, and we can help generate that from the data in Sharktower. So we're not saying that one size fits all, you must use our reporting. There is kind of external reporting we can offer, and there definitely will be further sessions on that, because it's a kind of large subject, and as more organizations adopt Sharktower, we're seeing more and more need to be flexible in terms of how we report things.
Great, thank you.
I'd recommend checking out our blog, and there's a good article on reporting.
Will do, thank you.
Thanks, Salim. I think we'll close it there. Let me quickly point you to some more resources. So if you've enjoyed this, please do book a personalised demo, either with Neil or one of our other product specialists can help you. You can evaluate Sharktower yourself with an introductory trial. As Neil said, take a look at our news and views on the blog. And next week, we'd really like to tackle the topic that both Stuart, Jackie and Salim have talked about, which is that whole, how do you run a project? How do you monitor it? And how do you measure it? I might ask Neil to give you leave you on a teasy slide of the overview pages as I close, because I think I'm on my last slides. Yeah, so Neil, why don't you bring up the overview page? We won't talk about it. We'll leave you there as a teaser, then hopefully you'll come and join us next week. So shout when you want the
Stop sharing. I'll share my screen quickly. And I guess just to add on Nikki's, if anybody wants to follow up on LinkedIn or have another Zoom call with more questions, I'm more than happy to jump on that. You can get me on LinkedIn, just Neil Greenhorn. So this is our demo environment. I'll quickly kind of brush past this, but you can see here that these are all the projects in this portfolio. We've got lots of them. You can filter by RAG status. So for example, I'm only interested in red ones because that's the ones that need fixed. You can see here, if we click on it, this is the overview page. So again, I mentioned you've got business objectives that link to projects. You've got the project description, you've got your outcomes. So these are the milestones we added to the plan. And again, you can see the status of them. This is all live data, so it doesn't need to be updated from the screen. And you can click into that and it'll take you to the plan. Again, RAG status. So this is the manual RAG status. So we honour the project manager's view of the world, and we think it's important. We're not trying to get rid of project managers by any means. Activities, a nice overview of that. Again, activities in different view. Project health score. So you can see this one is trending down. So again, if this RAG status was green and this was trending down, then I would definitely want to raise it with the project manager and find out why. And again, team sentiment is trending down, so the team isn't working as well as it has been together. And in our demo environment, this one thinks it's going to be 113 weeks late, and that is based on the plan and confidence level with the team members. Perfect. I'll leave it there. Again, thanks for everybody's time, and yeah, I'm more than happy, enthusiastic to carry on the conversation on LinkedIn. So yeah, give me a shout on there.
Thanks everyone for joining, and thanks Neil for the demonstration.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.